Okay, well, hello everybody. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. So, I'm going to be changing. I have two level 70 Crusaders. I have one which is my Hammeridin, and then I've got this build. Now, this build is kind of like a creation build. I mess around with things and I kind of try and work out any new build from here. So, what I thought was, as I'm doing this now, I thought I'd bring everybody else along for the ride. So you guys can kind of see and hear what goes through my mind, because I'll try and talk the best way I can through it, why I pick some of the things I do, and kind of what I've got in mind. So this was an old shield bash setup, and you know, it did the damage. We had the full Roland's Visage. So let's start with, before we get into actually with the gear, what we need to do first is decide, more importantly, on the skills and exactly how this Crusader is going to work. So I'm going to get it back to skills. Now, I had been trying a quick setup earlier, but now I'm going to go through this in a bit more detail. So this is aimed at a level 50 Greater Rift, or basically it's a Greater Rifting setup, maybe the better way of putting it. So the first one that comes straight to mind is Condemn. Now, I did try it with Unleashed for that immediate pop, that immediate bang when it gets going, but now I'm thinking Vacuum might be the best way of doing this. Now, Vacuum, as you can see, the explosion charges up, sucks in enemies. The closer it is to exploding, the more enemies it sucks in. So that's going to bring them all in and then go bang. Now, we've also got the Blade of Prophecy, so I'll explain what that's going to do for us later when we use this. But holding in control, I can see a bit more about this. It is a holy damage, so I'm thinking if we're going to use that, we might as well make a holy Crusader. Makes sense, I hope. So we're going to use Condemn as a Vacuum. That is going to be our main Wrath spender, or cooldown, whichever one of the two. If we can get the cooldown down enough, cooldown is set at 15 seconds, I'm pretty sure we can maybe get that down. So we're going to be heavily reliant on Wrath for this type of build. So as we're going to be heavily reliant on Wrath, then I think this is definitely going to be needed, which is Shield Glare with Zealous Glare. Gain Wrath for each enemy blinded. Now, there is a shield that will give you a 360 degree shield glare. I think them twinned together might be good. Now, probably at the top of your heads, people are thinking or shouting at the screen going, you know, Condemn build or a shotgun build. I was thinking along those lines, but then I thought, why not? So we're going to go into our other section here now. So the question firstly is, are we going to be able to generate enough Wrath to kind of use everything we need? The question we're trying to answer is, do we need a primary? Are we going to need something to generate the Wrath? Not only that, is if Vacuum fails, so we pull everybody in, we do a great big boom, we get the 2 extra blips if we're going to use Blade of Prophecy, but some of these suckers are still alive. And you've got to ask the question is, what are we going to use to kill them after that? So we need something which is also going to give us a second hard hit. Something that we can use immediately and really get the damage going. Slash, theoretically, with Carve, give us a long hitting arc in front of us, and if we hold in control, it's Fire. Now, we did say about a holy build, so another holy build would be Zeal. Attributes gaining your attacks gain increased attack speed for every hit and deal holy damage. Now, if we quickly hold in control, so gain 1% increased attack speed every enemy hit for 3 seconds, and it'll stack up to 10 times. Not a bad little goal, really. So then that asks the question of, should we use slash? Possibly. Smite might be another good one. So smite your enemies up to 30 yards away with holy chains that deal a large amount of damage. Chains break off and strike all nearby enemies, doing lesser damage. If we hold in control, we're going to get 175% weapon damage as holy as well going on top. But if we were to use smite, then what runes have we got? Well, there's shatter. Holy chains explode and damage all nearby enemies. If we hold in control, it is a holy, and it's dealing 60% weapon damage as holy to enemies as well. So that's a possibility. Shackle. Enemies hit by the chains have a chance to be immobilized in place for a short duration. Well, that's going to make them stand still, but it ain't going to kill them. What's the next one? We got surge. Increase the number of additional enemies hit. Now, so would surge be of any help to us? It is a holy cause, so it stays with our holy build. And increase the number of additional enemies hit by 5. So that would mean smite will now hit 5 enemies up to 30 yards away with the holy chains, and damage, well, it says deal a large amount of damage. So if we control that, 175% weapon damage. It's possible it could do a big hit. But the question is it going to be big enough? Well, what else have we got here? If we move away from primaries and we go into our secondaries and other options here. Now, as you know, I play with Spinky Baby. He's a really good friend of mine. He's basically my brother. He gave me a good idea here, which is a Fist of the Heavens crossed with Fissure. Now, it would make the build Holy Electric or Holy Lightning. What Fissure does is Fissure drops lightning fissures, and they connect together by like an arc that connects it together. So technically we could suck them in and then zap them with the lightning. 2 together could do it. A Heaven's Tempest. Summon a fiery storm over the targeted area that damages enemies who pass under it. 100% weapon damage as fire every second, and it lasts for 5 seconds. Good in some respect, but these weapons, when we're sucking them in, kind of makes me think we're going to be stood in the middle of this when it all goes down. So what we could try, possibly Blessed Shield. So there, hurl a celestial shield that smashes into enemies and ricochets between them. Again, 250% of shield block chance as holy damage, and the shield will ricochet to 3 nearby enemies. It also deals 430% damage. So that could be a good one, Blessed Shield. So if we use Staggering Shield, enemies hit by the shield may be stunned. Combust, that's going to turn it into flames. Divine Aegis, when the shield hits your enemy, your armor and life regeneration are increased. So that could help keep us alive by raising our life regeneration and our armor. And it says there, when the shield hits an enemy. So it doesn't even need to inflict damage, doesn't need to kill them, it just needs to hit them. And we get the armor and life regen. Well, that could be good while we're waiting for Vacuum to pop. So there is that. Shattering Throw. When the shield hits an enemy, it splits into smaller fragments that bounce between nearby enemies. So I think that would cause... So let's see, it splits into 3 smaller fragments that bounce between nearby enemies, dealing 107% more damage as wholly to all enemies hit. Well, if this is, say, bouncing into 3, and then it's going to split into 3 smaller pieces that do further damage, That could be worth us using. And that, actually, when you look at that one, the shield no longer bounces, but pierces through all enemies with a 50% chance to knock them aside. So rather than have these things bouncing about, what we could do is try the piercing shield. Me personally, I'm thinking we might give this shattering throw a chance. So that now gives us our 2 attacks. Our shattering throw and our condemn. So if I just quickly do them in here, we pop our condemn. We see that's 3 seconds where we've got to stand still. And that's our shield, which will hit enemies and bounce. So, now if we look at my damage at the moment, I'm at 1.2 mil. But these are kind of set for certain, well, setups. See, that one there reduces the cost of shield bash. Now the grandfather we can still keep. It's got the damage and it's got the high crit rate. So again, that's something we can change. But let's go back to skills. So we've got our 2 major ones here. Shield Glare with Zealous Glare. I think that will give us our wrath back. Because what we might do is either put the shield on that gives 360. If we don't have that, then we can dump that. I think I may have it in my cube. We can put it on my cube. Iron Skin, Steel Skin. And again, Steel Skin, your skin turns to iron, protecting you from the most damage for 7 seconds. So there. Normally it's 4, that takes you up to 7. What else have we got here that we could possibly use? Well, we've got Explosive Skin. So when Iron Skin expires, the metal explodes off, doing damage. Charged Up. Metal Skin is electrified, giving a chance to stun. And Flash. If you take damage when Iron Shield is active, your movement speed is increased, and you can move through enemies unhindered. Now that could help us when we are going across and running through the rifts. Now while active on this one, Reflective Skin, they take additional Thorns damage. Now, I never really got the hang of Thorns. That could help us. So what else we got here? We got Consecrate or Consecration. Consecrate the ground around you. You and your enemies, you and your allies heal while standing on the consecrated ground. So that'd be good again for survivability. But we don't just want survivability here. We want damage. Lots and lots of damage. Sorry, I was quickly refreshing my connection to the stream, just in case there is anybody watching or someone's posted. But yeah, I can't see anything at the moment. Okay, so Judgment. Pass Judgment on all your enemies in an area, immobilizing them in place for a short duration. So Judgment, if they're immobilized, that can help us. So there, pass Judgment on all enemies within 20 yards of the targeted location, immobilizing them in place for 6 seconds. And what else have we got here? Heal for every enemy upon whom you pass Judgment. All enemies are drawn toward the centre of the judged area. Increase the duration of the immobilize. Damage dealt by judged enemies has an increased chance to be a crit hit. Now that, I think, is a pretty good one, because if you can judge them, the damage dealt to judged enemies has an increased chance of it being a crit hit, and then fire off a shield. That might work. So let's pop ourselves that one on. So we got our shield there, and we got our Judgment. Akkarats. There is no build, and I'll state that again, there is no Crusader build where Akkarat's champion shouldn't be on the list of skills. It increases your damage and your wrath regeneration. There's no bad point with Akkarats. Now Prophet, the first time you take fatal damage while Akarat's Champion is active, you'll be returned to full health. That's basically a free life. And it also gives additional armour when Akarat's Champion is active. Now we've also got Hateful, which is gaining the increased attack speed. There's Rally, which reduces the remaining cooldown of your other abilities. Now that might help us knock down cooldown. So what we'll do is we'll put it on for a second, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate it and then cast Condemn. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're still stood around there for 10, possibly 10, 11 seconds waiting for Condemn to come back from cooldown. And let's just see what our cooldown is. So that is with Akarat's active. So details. So our cooldown reduction at the moment is 30%. So what we can do is I'm just going to fire off another one of the condemns. So there's about 5 seconds. I'd say that's down to about 10 seconds, but it's still not enough. So let's see. So are we really going to get any benefit from using that as Rally? What do you think, guys? Would we get any benefit? I'm not too sure. Enhancement of power. Increase the bonus wrath regeneration of Akarat's Champion. I think we're either going to use this one, or possibly go with Profit. I think we'll try Profit to start with. And lastly, Low with critical gets your crit hit damage up and increased attack speed, so I think we're going to leave that as is. Heavenly Strength, definitely needed two-handed weapon. Towering Shield, increase the damage of Punish, Shield Bash and Bless Shield. Reduce the cooldown of Shield Glare. Now we are going to be using Shield Glare, and I get the feeling we're going to be hammering it, so that is going to be worth using. Okay, so Finery, amount of gems we've got in this build, we might as well have that. And Indestructible, and again that is like having another extra life, so I think we'll keep them. So that gives us our skill sets. And Paragon points wise, I do have a truckload of these. I might reset them so we can run everything through just to see, make sure we've got points in the right place. Okay, so that gives us a basis at the moment. I'm going to go into now what exactly we have at our disposal here. So Roland's Visage, is it going to help us to keep this set? So every use of Shield Bash and Sweep Attack reduces the cooldowns of your lows and defensive skills. Well, we're not going to use Shield Bash and we ain't using Sweep Attack, so that doesn't help us. Set 4 doesn't help us, and set 6 doesn't neither, so the entire set bonus is irrelevant. That's, you know, the truth with the Roland set. So the Roland set for this build is quite practically useless. So let's see what else we've got here. I don't want to take from my other characters, just trying to build with what I've got at the moment. So we've got Sabbatons of Arkan. Now it'll be a plus 500 skill, reduce the cooldown abilities by 50% when Arkan is active. To me, that makes sense. Sabbatons of the Arkan, Helm, Paladins, Shadow's Grasp. What say you for? Demon Hunter, okay. And that's a Shadow as well. That's Gauntlets of Arkan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're still missing a few here. Okay, well, what we'll do is let's get them across here. So that's Roland's Visage. We're going to change that with our Helm of the Arkan. Put that one out of the way. We'll change the Sabatons, the boots over. Hang on. Roland Strider equipped. We want that one. The Sabatons of Arkan should be equipped. I'm going to apply our gloves. And that gives us our 500 strength. And as you can see, we're already damage is back up to 1 mil. Now, please do remember that I do have Ring of Royal Grandeur in the thing at the moment, so we've also got our number 4, so reduced by 50% while Akkurat's is active. And we've still got the Paladrins to go on yet. So what we'll do is let's get these on. So with the switch to the Arkan set, we have lost a little bit of damage, but what we've gained is the 50% cooldown. So we have 50% cooldown from our set bonus, yeah, for all skills when Akkurat's is active. We've also got a 31% cooldown there as well, and the additional cooldown. So if we now pop Akkurat's first and then cooldown, condemn, we know it takes 5 seconds to come up. So to me, that's still relatively slow, but it isn't as slow as it could have been. Look at that. Okay. So let's get back to it at the moment. So we've now taken off 1 or 2 of the things that we believe aren't useful for this build. So the Cinder Cut, now we know it reduces the cost of fire skills and gives fire damage. So technically, should we be using this? Well, let's see what we've got in our chest when I go to the right one. So we need some more armour. What can we try, guys? There's nothing in that panel. What about this one? Oh, there we go. Breastplate of the Arkan. I don't think we really need to say any more than that, do we? And what we'll do is I'll keep this here because I'll rip the gems back out. Now, yes, the damage has gone down, but we now have the reduced cooldown of Akkurat's itself by 50%. So that certainly is going to help us. So coming back to here, Cross of the Arkan. Again, it's 2-setted. You know, it is again going to drop down, but remember, we're not getting any benefit really from using the full Rolands. So let's put on the full Arkans. Now, the other good thing about this is, with the full set, we no longer have to use the Ring of Royal Grandeur. Now, that opens up a few options for us. You can see now we have all our set pieces on as well. So, what else can we change here? Well, we've got the obvious ones now. We have our weapon, our shield, our 2 rings, our amulet. We can also change our wrists, and should we want to, the belt as well. So we've still got a few things here we can pick from. So let's see what we've got, huh? So let's start with sorry about that. Let's start with our wrist. We've got dragons at the moment, and again it refers, and it's unique to shield bash, and it also says about fire skills. Again, our build isn't that. Our build is a holy build, so that really doesn't help us, does it? So let's see what else we can put in its place. So their hands. We've got also a denial shield there. Okay. Ancient Parthenons. Each stunned enemy within 25 yards reduces your damage by 11%. Weigh them up, guys. Lightning damage does do 19%, but we could flip that, couldn't we, to holy damage? So it is possible. But let's see what else we've got in here, just in case we've got something that's more tailored, should we say. Strong arm braces. Enemies hit by knockback suffer 22% more damage for 5 seconds when they land. It's also got a boost to holy skills, and it will increase our toughness. That to me looks like a no-brainer. Let's put on those strong arm braces. And what we'll do is we'll put them back down there, and we'll also, the stuff we took off from my Romans, I'm going to put down here as well. We do still need to strip these out of here. Okay, so that's the braces done. So now, based on what I've got, we still need a kick-ass weapon and a shield to back it up. So shield wise, let's see what we've got here. So Blessed Shield ricochets to 6 additional enemies. Well, I don't need to tell you really any more about that one, because yes, of course we're going to use that. So yes, we've got a drop in damage again, but now we've got the 6 additional ricochets, which adds on to Blessed Hammer's already 3. So that should give us 9 ricochets. We still need a weapon. Now I've got Grandfather in there at the moment. I'm thinking we might stay with that unless we've got something in here which we think is going to do us better. So we've got an Ancient Sky Warden there. Now it will give us, every 60 seconds, gain a random law for 60 seconds. Now if I take out the emerald, it's still down on its damage by 4.1%, but its recovery, our recovery will increase by 50% and keep us alive. So that comes down to whether we're going to need the health or not. We don't know yet, so I think we should leave it as damage for now, but we can come back to it. Scourge, and what does this give us? 29% chance when attacking to explode with demonic fury for 18,000 to 2,000 weapon damage as fire. Now, is that good or bad? You know, we could explode with demonic fury and do 2,000% of our weapon damage as fire. We don't know how critical that is, but it is an extra boost on top of, when we look at the Grandfather, it's got no unique ability. But like say, if we take out that emerald, we're actually going to lose 15% of our damage. So we're going to lose maybe 91,000 in damage. That's a big hit. Let's see what else we've got. So we've got, what's that? Iberio Cacharo, and I probably pronounced that completely wrong. It is a shield, so we're not going to use that. So let's go down to our next ones. Again, we've got Final Witness here. Now the Final Witness there, Shield Glare, now hits all enemies around you. Now, we need this for our 6 ricochet, but it'd be nice to have that as well. And I think I've got one of them in our cube, so we might look at that next. And that's the whole argument thing. And now that will increase your attack speed, but it's only a Blessed Hammer. It's useless to us. So let's go down to the next one. So weapons, again, we're falling a bit short here when it comes to weapons that we can actually wield. Sometimes it's better the devil you know, so we might want to use what we got. Double the number of bombardment impacts. I'm not going to use bombardment. And the denial shield. Enemies killed by a champion. Enemies killed when Akarat's champion is active turn into Phalanx avatars for 10 seconds. Now that would give us again that little army. Now we've talked about this before. about how that could help. Now the problem is we're going to lose a quarter of our damage, which I think at the moment is a bit big to lose. So that might be an option to think about. And we've got another sky cutter here. Not a bad bit, but again, even with the emerald that's already in there, we're going to lose 31%. Oh, golden flint, sweep attack will restore 5 with each hit. We're not using it. Even with the emerald in as well, we lose on a few places there. Again, that goes with Akarats turning into Phalanx avatars. So I'm thinking at this moment, it's better the devil we know. So I think we should keep the, that one, the grandfather, for now. But we may come back and look at changing that later. So far so good, guys? So, we still need to rip out the gems here and here to put them into this. And then we've got these rings left. Now that's got our Wreath of Lightning. That one's got our Molten Wildebeest. And that one has got the Tagork. So what I think we will do is, let's get these gems out and get them in place. And then we can have a look really what our damage actually looks like. The next question, of course, is how are we going to test this? Well, I think the best way to test would be no more rift. So I'm just going to put these back in exactly where they were. So with all the gems back in, we're back at 1.1 million for our damage. Not a bad little damage if I don't say so myself. So now we're back here with our choices of these. I think we should keep the Countess, and that's purely because of the bottom ability. Prevent all arcane damage taken. And yeah, arcane is a pain in the backside when you get on the high rifts. Unity. Unity is, well, it's self-explanatory really. It keeps us alive with our Templar who's with us, who has another Unity. So we're going to keep that as well. But the Molten Wildebeest Gizzard is generating us life, and it gives us our shield, so I think we'll keep that. So this one, focus, and the Tagork's not that high, remember, it's only level 9 at the moment. We're not getting any bonuses, so this could be the ring that we change. But that, of course, begs to ask the question, for what? Let's go back and have a look. So rings. Legendary gem. So there's a ring. Increase your life per second by 88% based on your missing life. It's going to increase our damage by 3.9%. And that's without any gem on it. But to get a gem into it, we would have to sacrifice something. Possibly armour, high enough to get a socket in the damn thing. It's possible. But let's see what else we can find, huh? Litany of Undaunted. Got a good part of strength, get an increase in attack speed, further cooldown by 8%, and 447 in its armour. What we could do is take that one, sacrifice the armour, put a thing on it, a socket, keep the cooldown, keep the attack speed. Oh, actually, do we need to keep the attack speed? I don't think we do. We could keep the armour and ditch the attack speed, get the socket, and then we find a kick-ass gem to go in it. It's possible. So I'll tell you what, let's put that one in our maybe section for the moment. And that is our Bane of the Trap there, which is levelling up. The Bane of the Trapped might be worth putting in there. But let's carry on looking, because I don't want to miss. Hang on a minute, level 48. Swiftness, increasing your attack speed, and effects stacks up to 15 times. Gain 1% cooldown reaction for every stack of swiftness. That's the one we've got to use. Again, cooldown, cooldown, cooldown. So should we put it in that one, the Litany? We have got an Oki. And an Oki gives a full focus power on killing a monster. Damage is increased by 38% while we're standing in the area. So if we're standing in this area, we're sucking in these demons, and it goes bang, we're going to get ourselves a nice bit of damage. So based on that, but again, we would have to sacrifice something to get our socket. Because swiftness is going into it, which raises the attack speed, we could get rid of the attack speed on that. So I think what we will do is we will use that one. The first thing we've got to do is get a socket in it. So for that we need to find the witch. And I can't remember where she's down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to enchant. We're going to enchant our Oki. Well, now that didn't go according to plan. It will only let me change these. And I'll bet the ranged one will not give us a socket if I try it. No. So that would mean I would have to sacrifice resist or strength. Strength is something at the moment I don't think we should be taking down. But as you can see there, actually when I take that off, we're also going to lose that huge crit damage. And like I said, there is cooldown there. The cooldown will get back with swiftness. But there's nothing giving us that crit hit damage back. Maybe we shouldn't go with the Oki. This is why don't jump in, which is not one of my best spots because I generally do. Let's see what the gems there is. Because generally I have some hidden out there. Skull Grasp. Don't think that's going to be of any use to us. Sodge. Stone of Jordan. But again, we'd only gain toughness for it, guys. We wouldn't gain anything else. What else we got down here? Ring of Royal Grandeur. Is that an arc stone? It is an arc stone. Lightning pulses periodically between all wearers of this ring. Now the thing is, we would be the only one wearing it for the time being until we find another one. Then we stick it on our Templar. Now according to this, damage would go up if changed with a focus, which is what we were thinking. Toughness would go up, but we'd lose a bit of recovery. Remember also, we'd have to sacrifice something to get the swiftness gem into it. So, oh yeah, there's also the belt to look at. So I'm thinking that arc stone might be worth using. The Auric Signet. Another signet. That's for a neck. Ulcarthus. He'd give us back our crit hit damage. Reduction again. And we would get additional damage and more strength. Is that better than the Arkstone? Well, the Arkstone is only giving us a 0.4% damage increase, but it also gives us the increase in toughness. And there is the chance when we get the second, we're going to do more damage. But again, the trade-off. We get a lower crit hit chance and we lose that damage. Are we better just taking the stone out of that one and put back in the swiftness? I would think that might be a better option. So we do have that option. And then there's also still the belt. Yeah, so what we'll do, let's go down, we're going to extract smeg. That's what we're after here. So what we will do is we're going to sling in, we're going to take our focus and we're going to do that to get the gem out. We're then going to take our swiftness gem and put it back in. Okay, lastly, and then we'll take this thing out for a run on a level 8 Nephilim Rift, is the belt. Now we do currently have the Witching Hour. Now the belts here, Blessed Hall, both are for Justice and also for Blessed Hammer. So not really of any use to us on that one. There's a T-Yods, which is aimed at lightning skills. So any more belts? Any more belts? Let's up a bit higher. None in there. None there. And none there. So I'm thinking again, better the devil we know. Maybe we'll just stick with what we got. So okay, I think we're now in a position to really try this. So we've got, oh hang on a minute, no I forgot another key point. Our cube. So in there at the moment we have the Blade of Prophecy. Gives us the 2 condemned enemies will trigger 2 condemned enemies also trigger Condemn's explosion. That gives us the multiple pop. But if we use that, we can't use the 360 sealed glare. I think personally we'll try it with the Blade of Prophecy. Now this is unusual and it's the actual only armor one I've got open at the moment. While below 25% life, all attacks are guaranteed crit hits. Not a bad little thing. And of course here at the moment is the Ring of Grandeur. Now as I've said, the Ring of Grandeur we actually don't need. So one, we got our Rocky, chance to create an aura. So there is that one we can use. And increase life per second by 100% based on missing life. We've got our Eternal Union, not much for use to us. And Broken Promises. So after 5 consecutive non-crit hits, your chance to crit is increased to 100% for 3 seconds. So I think we might try that. And that, as they say, is that. So there's the build. Shall we give it a run? Let's see what we get. So we're going to put it in a standard T8, I think we're on, Rift. And insert accept. Now you're going to see me pop near everything to get us going. Are we ready? Let's see what we get. Well, no. That didn't seem to go too well, did it? Now, it could be just how because I'm used to getting up close and personal. As you can see, that is doing some, it's doing the millions in damages. Now, what I'm seeing straight away is our condemn is still not coming up as much as really it should. And like I said, we are getting constant in the millions for our damage. But realistically, this is level 8. We shouldn't really be having much of a problem here, and we are. So as far as it goes regarding, a Greater Rift, would this really be any good? Will you guys be the judge? So I'm just going to carry on running it. Let's see what you guys think. And remember, this was my own build designed just in minutes, as you saw there, just going through a few things and trying to piece together what is really going to work for us. Now, did I make the build wrong? Quite possibly. But that's the whole beauty of this game, is there's no such thing as a right build. People will tell us, oh, when you get to this rift, you need to be at this level, and when you need to get to this rift, you're at this level. I turn around and say, use whatever's comfortable. Sometimes the best builds are your own. So as you can see here, we can survive. And we are surviving doing this. Is it as good as what I thought it would be? No, nowhere close. But the build is survivable. So I'm quite happy about that at this point. What is it going to be like one-on-one with a Rift Guardian? Well, that we shall see. Now there is a shield that reduces, so it changes cooldown on Condemn into a thing as well, into a Wrath Spender, which could actually be quite good for us. Now, as you can probably hear, I'm just quite literally hitting the buttons left, right and centre to try and keep us alive and see exactly how we're doing. It's not the quickest of builds, I'll say that. But again, look at the top of your screen. This is T8, and it's it's surviving. There's no disputing it. It is surviving. Yeah, we've been living on the edge quite a bit. But that being said, we are doing. We've set out what we basically wanted to do, which was the initial startup for this. And I paid the price there for it. Well, kind of how we're looking at the moment, guys. You know, is it really a proper build? I think if it's tweaks, could be a quite viable build. No, that's just my humble opinion, but the hours I put into this game, I'd like to think I have a bit of knowledge on them, and I think someone with a bit more knowledge could possibly make this a quite a viable build. Okay, well that's how we're looking on that anyway. So I'm going to stop the stream at this point. Yes, I understand it wasn't a brilliant build, but that was the whole idea of doing it as a community build. So leave your comments. Please do subscribe as well, so you don't miss when a change is made. Have a look, have a think. You know, what should we change next? What needs to be added? What needs to be taken away? You know, is the Ricochet and Wrath Condemn a good mix? Or is it just, you know, a problem waiting to happen? But for the time being, this is Darthgremlin. Good night.